All right, welcome back to the deep dive. For this one, I want you to dim the lights.
Oh, setting a mood.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can, turn them down. Because we're not just, stepping into a story today. We're stepping into a whole vibe.
A very specific vibe.
Exactly. I want you to picture, like, a rain-slick street in a city that never sleeps. Neon lights reflecting off the black asphalt.
The low hum of a server farm in a basement somewhere.
Yeah, and that pale blue glow of a monitor illuminating a dark room. We are entering the world of cyber noir.
It is a fitting atmosphere. I mean, usually when we talk about mysteries, we're dealing with things in the physical world, right? A locked room, a person who vanishes in the woods.
The classic heist.
A classic heist, exactly. But today, the mystery is buried. It's buried beneath layers and layers of the banal and, frankly, seedy early internet.
It's a detective story, but the clues aren't fingerprints on a glass. They're HTML source code, server logs, and time-stamped forum posts.
It's a whole different kind of evidence.
And the craziest part, the part that really keeps me up at night, is that this whole thing, this massive international mystery, it all starts with something we've all seen a million times.
A grumpy internet troll.
A grumpy internet troll. We are talking about the digital footprint of one single deceased Reddit user that led thousands of internet sleuths to a hidden message board.
And this wasn't just, a board for sharing cheat codes for video games or pirated movies.
Not at all. This message board, it potentially coordinated international assassinations.
It's one of those rabbit holes that once you fall in, you just keep falling. It fundamentally changes how you look at the text on your screen.
Yeah.
We are, of course, talking about the legend of Lake City Quiet Pills.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We need to decode this story. We're going to try to analyze the bridge between just online trolling, guys yelling at each other on the internet, and real-world wet work.
And we have quite the stack of sources to work with. We've got the original archives from the subreddit Run Resolve Mysteries.
Which is a goldmine.
Oh, it's incredible. We also have transcripts from the Unresolved podcast, which did a fantastic breakdown of the timeline. And we have the actual recovered HTML code from the defunct website itself.
And that duality in the sources is what's so jarring.
It is. It's like smashing two completely different genres together. On one hand, you have this almost high school level internet drama, trolls, spammers, really questionable subreddits.
And on
the other, you have details that read like a Tom Clancy novel. We're talking encrypted, military-grade hard drives, Mossad hit squads, covert ops in the Middle East. It just doesn't compute.
It really captures that eerie feeling, when you accidentally click View Source on a web page, and the curtain pulls back and you just see the matrix code underneath.
You see something you weren't supposed to see.
That is literally what happened here. So let's unpack this. We have to start at the beginning with the man, the myth, the absolute curmudgeon, Milo.
Or, as he was known to the Reddit community, user eulogy.
Right. What a username to start with. So let's profile this guy. The account was created way back December 2007.
Ancient history in internet years.
Totally. And if you just looked at his profile back then, you'd think, okay, this is just a grumpy old veteran yelling at kids to get off his lawn.
It was the whole persona, yeah. He was everywhere. But he was specifically a moderator for a subreddit called Jailbait.
Yeah.
And we really have to address the elephant in the room right away here. This was a seedy place.
To put it mildly.
I mean, to be clear, it was a subreddit dedicated to images of women who were borderline underage or just legal but looked underage. It was eventually banned, and rightfully so.
Of course.
But at the time, it was this massive hub for a very specific, very unsavory type of internet user. And Milo, our ReligionOfPeace, he wasn't just lurking there, he was a moderator. He was helping run the show.
So he's steeped in this grimy corner of the internet. But his personality wasn't just creep, it was distinctively aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
He was angry.
Oh, absolutely. I went back through some of the archives of his comments, and his catchphrase was basically telling spammers to die. He'd write things like, "You scum-sucking spammer, get the F off my internet."
He didn't just ban them, he wanted to verbally destroy them.
Total rage. And he was building this whole character. He claimed to be born in 1930.
Which would have made him, 79 years old, around 2009 when this all peaks?
Exactly. He presented himself as this old man of the internet, the grandfather who had seen it all.
But that age claim is where the first little cracks start to appear in the persona. Or maybe where the mystery really deepens. He claimed to have served in World War II.
And when you actually sit down and look at the timeline he presented, it's colorful.
The math gets extremely fuzzy, right?
Extremely. He claimed he enlisted at age 14.
14.
Yeah, because he was physically large for his age. He said he was passing 40-millimeter cannon shells on a troop ship in the Pacific. Then, suddenly, he's in Jerusalem in 1947, fighting in what he called the food fight.
Okay.
And he claims he didn't retire from the military until 1987.
Wait, hold on. Let me just process that. So he's claiming to be an active military operator from age 14 all the way to age 57. That's a 43-year career in active duty.
It's not technically impossible, but it's highly, highly unusual. It really fits the profile of one of two things. Either it's stolen valor, someone stitching together war stories they've heard to sound tough online,
Correct.
or it's a cover. It's so outlandish that maybe you're not meant to believe it. Maybe it's just noise. His explanation for being online all the time was that he was a tech writer. But the vibe was very specific. He wasn't just grumpy. He possessed surprisingly specific knowledge.
Yes, that's the part that sticks out. It wasn't just generic insults. He would drop these comments about military history that were surprisingly accurate, or he'd get into discussions about violence that felt practiced.
The piano wire.
The piano wire. There was one instance where he discussed the specific tensile strength of piano wire used for strangulation. He wasn't quoting a movie. He was talking about the physics of it.
That is not something you pick up in a tech writer manual.
No. Not unless you're writing a very, very specific kind of manual.
And there was another layer to his online presence. He was constantly linking people to his own image hosting site. You have to remember, back then, Reddit didn't host images directly.
You had to use Imgur or something else.
Exactly. And he had his own, he called it that old guy's image host. The URL was lakecityquietpills.com.
And that name, I mean, now with hindsight, it's just flashing neon red lights. But at the time, people just thought, oh, weird name for a photo site. Quirky old guy thing.
Exactly. It didn't mean anything to the average user. But the timeline of our story takes a sharp, abrupt turn on July 17th, 2009. Your Religion of Peace just stops posting.
Go silent.
The constant stream of insults and moderation duties, it just cuts off. And the silence is broken by a brand new account created that very same day called U26, Angel26.
And this is where the movie starts. Because U26 isn't just some random person. They're the bearer of bad news. They post a eulogy.
Right. The eulogy says, Milo died today. He was 79. Milo was a mean old fur.
What a tribute.
It's fascinating to analyze, though, because it's so unsentimental. It reads exactly like a military after-action report delivered by a subordinate who, respected the boss's capabilities, but didn't necessarily like him as a person.
It's very cold.
Very. It mentions that Milo died at his desk. It says he had no family, just a landlady and some work associates.
And then U26 talks about the logistics of cleaning up Milo's life. He says he gave Milo's cat to the neighbor, dumped his books, and then there's this line that just sent shivers down my spine.
The ashes.
Yeah. He says he's dumping Milo's ashes near a mall in Pennsylvania, specifically the outlet shops at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Because it was built over Milo's old family farm.
It's such a specific, grounded detail. It makes it feel real.
It does. But then, almost as a throwaway line, he mentions the hardware.
The iron key.
Yes. U26 says, I bricked Milo's iron key.
And we really need to pause on this, because for anyone listening who might not know, an iron key is not your standard USB drive you pick up at the grocery store.
Yeah.
This is a hardware-encrypted, military-grade secure drive. It meets FIPS 142 Level 3 security standards. This is serious hardware.
So talk to me about the bricking part. What does that actually mean?
It's a physical security feature. If you try to guess the password incorrectly 10 times, the chip literally self-destructs. It fries its own internal circuitry.
It turns into a brick.
It turns into a useless block of metal and plastic. The data becomes completely irretrievable. You can't take it to a computer repair shop. Even the NSA would struggle to get data from a bricked iron key.
Okay, so why does a 79-year-old moderator of a CD picture forum need a military-grade encrypted drive? And maybe more importantly, why is his friend immediately destroying it upon his death?
Instead of looking for a will or financial records or family photos.
Exactly.
That's the crucial question. Bricking an iron key raises the stakes immediately. It shifts the narrative from grumpy old man dies alone to active evidence destruction.
It implies a standing order.
It absolutely implies a protocol. If I die, destroy the drive. Do not look at what's on it. And U26 reports this to Reddit so casually, like saying, I took out the trash.
So Milo is dead. His hard drive is a fried piece of plastic. His ashes are scattered behind a mall. End of story.
Except it wasn't the end. Not by a long shot, because the internet is a very curious place and people started poking around. They wanted to know who this U26 character was.
The sleuthing begins.
And they started tracing the username. They found a connection to a much older account on a different site, fark.com/rememberfark.
Oh yeah, blast from the past.
An account named Angel26, active since 2001, so this wasn't a new identity, it was an old one resurfacing.
And that FARC account had a motto, a signature block that appeared under all their posts.
And the motto read, "Dispensing Lake City quiet pills to lousy bastards in need of permanent rest since 1968.
And suddenly, the weird, quirky website name makes perfect, chilling sense.
It was code. It was a mission statement. Lake City refers to the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant in Independence, Missouri.
It's a massive facility, right?
Massive is an understatement. It's on almost 4,000 acres. It produces something like 1.4 billion rounds of small arms ammunition every single year. It is the single largest producer of bullets for the U.S. military.
So if Lake City makes the ammo...
Then quiet pills are the bullets.
Oh my God.
Dispensing quiet pills to lousy bastards in need of permanent rest.
It's a euphemism for shooting people. For killing them!
Okay, that is dark. Clever in a really twisted way, but dark. So now we have a direct link between Milo, his associate angel, and a slogan about assassination. But the real smoking gun wasn't the slogan. It was what was hiding behind the website's front door.
The website itself, LakeCityQuietPills.com, looked like a standard, slightly broken image host. It was filled with exactly the kind of junk you'd expect from the bread jailbait crowd.
Nothing to see here.
Exactly. But curious Redditors did what tech-savvy people do. They viewed the HTML source code. They looked at the backend text that tells the browser how to display the page.
And usually you just see lines of code. Div, body, image source, maybe some JavaScript. But here, buried deep in the code, inside what are called HTML comments, which are basically notes that developers leave for themselves that don't show up on the screen.
There was a hidden chat room.
It was a communication channel using the website's code as a digital dead drop. And what they were saying was chilling. It wasn't computer code, it was English. It was a log of messages between a group of people.
I have some of the quotes here,
Yeah.
and just reading them out loud, it feels illegal. It feels like we're reading a wiretap.
Go on.
One of them says, Shade is maintaining the calendar and access to the file dump. Another one, Angel has the job postings for EU and Asia. We aren't sending anyone to EE. No one.
Me almost certainly standing for the Middle East.
Has to be. And then you get to the actual job listings. And these don't sound like tech writing gigs or moderator duties.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Immediate need, 810 Chinese Korean, 12-week half-pay sequester on refusal.
A penalty for refusing a job.
Yeah. Or this one. 2 ground types,
Yep.
fluent Farsi, Arabic, French, no papers, no problems.
Let's just analyze. No papers, no problems. In the regular job market, no papers means you're undocumented, and it's a problem. You can't be hired legally.
Right.
In the world of covert operations or mercenaries, no papers is a feature, not a bug. It means you can't be traced. It means you can slip across a border without pinging a database. It suggests off-the-books work.
And there's another one that really stands out. Need formed group, 810. Single oppa de live bonus.
Yeah.
Gentleman's agreement insurance.
A gentleman's agreement on insurance, that means no paper trail, no contracts that can be subpoenaed. It's a handshake deal on a very, very high-risk job.
And the jargon they use terms like CCW, which is pretty standard for concealed carry weapon.
But they also use WW, and the debate on WW in the forums is huge. Some people think it means wants warrants, like checking a criminal record.
But in this context,
In this context, combined with quiet pills and permanent rest, a lot of analysts believe it stands for wet work,
assassination.
the spilling of blood.
Yeah.
Precisely.
So let's just recap for a second. We have a hidden message board inside a porn-adjacent website run by the partner of a dead guy who immediately destroyed evidence. And this board is soliciting people with specific language skills and no papers for wet work.
It sounds like a movie script.
It sounds too perfect. You almost want to say, okay, this has to be a game. This is just some role-playing group having fun. This is Dungeons and Dragons for military nerds.
And that's a very valid hypothesis. In fact, for a long time, many people thought it was exactly that, an ARG, an alternate reality game, just a spooky story someone was writing in real time.
Until the dates started lining up with reality.
In a way that made everyone stop laughing.
This is the Dubai connection. This is the moment where the story goes from creepy internet mystery to, wait a second, should we be calling the authorities?
We need to set the scene for this, because the timing is incredibly, incredibly precise. We're looking at January 2010.
Okay, so on the Lake City Quiet Pills hidden board, inside the source code, a message pops up on January 12th, 2010. It says, "We're having a birthday party for the old man on the 19th. Party starts at 1500.
A birthday party. Sounds innocent enough. Maybe it was Milo's birthday, a tribute.
Maybe. But let's look at the real world. On January 19th, 2010, the exact date of this supposed party, a man named Mahmoud Al-Mabhouh arrives in Dubai.
And Al-Mabhouh wasn't just a tourist. He was a founder of the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades, the military wing of Hamas.
He was the chief of logistics, basically the guy responsible for getting weapons from Iran into Gaza. He was a very high-value target for Israel and several other intelligence agencies.
He was a ghost. He traveled under fake names with fake passports. He was extremely careful. But on January 19th, he arrives in Dubai at approximately 3:00 p.m.
1500 hours.
Exactly. The party was scheduled to start at 1500. Al-Mabhouh lands at 1500.
That coincidence alone gives me goosebumps. But it gets worse, doesn't it?
It gets much worse. The day before, on January 18th, another message appears in the LCQP source code.
And it says, "We got 38 rooms in the Marriott. Shade has the key cards. Keep the room service under 500. Do ente DUI."
Let's break that down, because the specificity is what matters. 38 rooms. That implies a massive team.
A huge footprint.
A huge footprint. And when the Dubai police eventually investigated the assassination of Al-Mabhouh, they pieced together the movements of the hit squad using CCTV footage from all over the city. They identified a team of at least 26 to 27 operatives.
Possibly more in support roles.
Possibly more who weren't caught on camera. So that number lines up almost perfectly with a block booking of 38 rooms. You'd book extra for contingencies, safe houses, things like that.
And the instructions in the code match the real operation. The code warns about insecure phones.
Right. And in the real operation, the assassins used high-level tradecraft to avoid digital detection. They were using encrypted devices or prepaid burner phones that were immediately discarded.
The code says keep room service under 500.
Which suggests a need to maintain a low profile. You don't want to be the guest ordering champagne and caviar for 38 rooms. You want to be forgettable. You want to be the gray man.
And the warning, don't DDUI, in all caps.
A driving under the influence charge would involve local police. If you are an assassin on a covert mission using a fake passport, a simple traffic stop is the end of the mission. It is a catastrophic failure. It exposes the entire network.
So let's walk through the actual hit because it's just straight out of a spy novel.
It really is. The hit squad used fake passports from the UK, Ireland, France, Australia.
All stolen identities from real people.
Right. And they wore disguises, wigs were involved.
And the tennis gear. That detail always sticks with me.
The tennis gear. Surveillance footage from the hotel shows the operatives waiting in the lobby, dressed in tennis outfits, holding rackets.
It's the perfect camouflage for a luxury hotel in Dubai, isn't it?
It's brilliant. You look like a wealthy tourist. You don't look like a threat. You blend in.
So they track Al-Mabhouh to the Albuston Rotana Hotel. They book the room directly across from his, room 237, versus his room 230.
They wait for him to leave the room, and then they use some kind of advanced electronic device to reprogram the lock on his door. They didn't break it down, they hacked it. They slip inside.
And when Al-Mabhouh returns to his room, they're waiting for him.
The details of the death are gruesome, but surgically precise. They injected him with succinylcholine.
It's a paralytic.
A fast-acting paralytic. It relaxes all your muscles to the point where you can't breathe. It mimics a heart attack or natural suffocation if you don't look too closely. They didn't shoot him. They didn't blow up the room. They neutralized him.
Quietly.
With a quiet pill.
And then, within hours, the entire team scattered. They were on flights to Hong Kong, South Africa, Europe. They just vanished into the wind before the body was even properly identified as a murder victim.
A professional job.
Textbook. Now let's go back to the code. The job is done. The party is over. On February 2nd, 2010, a new message appears in the LCQP source code. It's titled Party Bills.
It looks like an expense report.
An invoice. And this is where the skeptical part of my brain just starts to fight with a part that sees this horrifying pattern.
Read the receipt.
The receipt lists.
Yeah.
Hotel rooms 48341, limo 6080, bus 569, med supplies 180.
Med supplies 180.
It's a tiny amount of money for a massive operation.
But it's the exact right amount of money for a syringe and a dose of a powerful sedative. You don't need an MRI machine or a surgical suite to do this kind of work. You need surprisingly little medical equipment, just enough to deliver the payload.
The total on the invoice comes out to $94,080. And the message ends with, Fat Tommy and Stu are okay.
Yeah.
You all did Dutch Milo proud.
Dutch Milo,
Huh.
a reference to the founder, a tribute. It implies this operation was carried out in his spirit, or by the network that he established. It's like saying, the old man is gone, but the work continues.
It is terrifying. We have the dates lining up, the 19th. We have the time lining up, 1,500 hours. We have the logistics lining up, the large number of rooms, the low cost of med supplies. It creates this overwhelming picture that this subreddit moderator, this grumpy old man, was actually running a dispatch center for mercenaries.
Or at the very least, he built the digital infrastructure that they used. He was the architect of the safe house.
But we have to be fair here. We have to look at this from all angles. Yeah. Because as compelling as that theory is, there are a lot of people who say, no way, this is just a bunch of nerds in a basement.
The mercenaries versus neckbeards debate. It's the central conflict of this entire mystery.
So let's dig into the real theory first.
Yeah.
The idea that these guys were actual private contractors. You mentioned the acronyms and the usernames earlier.
Yes. The Unresolved podcast did a fantastic deep dive into the names themselves. Milo might not be a name at all. In the UK military, MILO stands for Military Intelligence Liaison Officer.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
These are officers who can deploy very quickly to support operations, and they often act as a bridge between the intelligence gatherers and the boots on the ground.
Which describes exactly what this website seemed to be doing.
It's a perfect fit. It's bridging the gap between the digital world of recruitment and the operational world of action.
And what about 2-6?
2-6 heave. It's an old bit of British naval slang. It's a call used when a group needs to work together to pull on a rope to move something heavy. It means coordinated effort, teamwork.
So the usernames themselves could be military code for intelligence officer and teamwork. That fits the private contractor theory perfectly.
It does. But then we have to ask the big question. Why host this on a porn site? Yeah. Why hide your mercenary job board inside Joe Bates' image hosting server?
The argument is security through obscurity, right?
Oh.
Who is going to look for hitmen in the source code of a seedy image host? It's the last place anyone would check.
That's the argument, yeah. It's the hiding a needle in a stack of needles approach. If you hide among billions of lines of internet trash, maybe no one will ever notice you. So the counter-argument is a strong one. It's incredibly, unbelievably risky.
Because jailbait attracts the FBI.
Exactly. Child pornography or even borderline content like that is a magnet for federal law enforcement. If you are running a real international assassination ring, the absolute last thing you want is the FBI cyber division scanning your servers because you're hosting illicit images.
It's like hiding your secret safe in a drug dealer's living room.
Perfect analogy. Eventually, the cops are going to kick down the door for the drugs, and they're going to find your safe. For high-level operators, it seems incredibly sloppy.
That's a great point. It feels like a massive, unforced error. But then you come back to the iron key. Why mention destroying a military-grade hard drive if it's all just a game?
And that brings us to the hoax or ARG theory, the skeptical voices. There were users on Reddit, like one named Red Pen Name, who pointed out that Milo's writing style wasn't actually that sophisticated. They said he sounded like a not very interesting young guy, not a tough old soldier.
And we have the age discrepancy. Someone ran his post through a linguistic analyzer, right? A program called uClassify.
They did. The analysis came back suggesting the writer was most likely between 36 and 50 years old, not 79. So the old man persona was almost certainly a complete fabrication.
So we know Milo was likely a fake persona. But does a fake persona mean the hitman ring is fake? Or does it just mean the dispatcher was lying about his age to command respect?
That's the million-dollar gray area, but there is a very specific theory that gained a lot of traction, the roleplay angle. A Reddit user named Shivers the Ninja claimed to have proof that this whole thing was a furry role-playing group.
Wait, furries? Like people who dress up as animals?
Yes. The claim, which was later supported by a French YouTuber named Obscuria, is that this was a group of Second Life players.
The virtual world.
Right. They were role-playing as mercenaries inside a virtual world. And they used the website's source code to coordinate their role-play jobs so they could feel like secret agents while playing the game.
Okay, wait. So the Chinese Korean speakers and no papers, no problems, and wet work, that was all just flavor text for a video game.
That is the theory. Shivers the Ninja claims they found evidence on the Wayback Machine and Pastabin that links the accounts to this specific roleplay group. They even suggested that while they were just role-playing, some of them might have actually worked for the army in non-combat roles, which could explain where they got the jargon from.
But here is where I get completely stuck on the hoax theory. If it was just a game, why did they burn it all down?
The reaction.
The reaction. The moment Redditors exposed the code in 2010, the moment people said, hey, look at this, the site didn't celebrate. They didn't say, you found us, here's the next clue, welcome to the game.
No, they panicked.
They completely panicked. First, they encrypted the code immediately. And then shortly after that, they nuked the entire site. It vanished, wiped from the internet.
Hoaxes want attention. ARGs are designed to be solved. That's the whole point. This behavior, this suggests pure panic. This suggests they realized a real spotlight was on them and they needed to disappear. It suggests guilt.
And it brings us right back to the coincidence. If it was a role play, did they just accidentally role play a massive assassination in Dubai with a team of dozens on the exact same weekend it actually happened in the real world?
The odds of that seem astronomical.
Party at 1,500, 38 rooms, med supplies. To have all of that match a real-world Mossad hit by pure chance, that's a lottery ticket win of coincidence.
It really connects to the bigger picture of the internet, I think. We tend to view the online world and the offline world as separate places, but this story suggests the border between them is incredibly porous.
Which brings us to the conclusion, the unresolved thread.
The website is gone. The users use ReligionOfPeace and U26 are dark. They haven't posted in over a decade.
And the Dubai assassins, the actual operatives.
Interpol identified 11 of them by face. From the CCTV footage, they have their pictures, they were never caught, they used stolen identities, they slipped out of the country, and they just vanished.
So the connection remains circumstantial. We can't definitively prove that Angel and Shade were the ones in that hotel room.
But we can't disprove it either. The statistical improbability is just, it's staggering.
And that is the lingering question. Was Milo just a bored IT guy LARPing as a soldier in his basement? Or was he a dispatcher for a private intelligence firm hiding in the darkest, dirtiest corner of the internet?
It really changes how you look at the internet, doesn't it?
Completely. It makes you realize that the internet is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used to build things or it can be used to destroy them.
You scroll past thousands of comments every day, you see usernames, you see trolls, and you just think that's just some person with an opinion.
But Lake City Quiet Pill suggests that sometimes the birthday party invite is actually a kill order. And that grumpy commenter might just be a war criminal.
It's a good reminder that the internet was built by the military originally. It was a tool for communication and command. And maybe in some dark corners, it never really stopped being that.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to chew on. If Lake City Quiet Pills was just a game, why did the game masters brick their hard drives and flee the moment the lights were turned on? And if it wasn't a game, if this was a real dispatch hub for mercenaries, where are Angel and Shade posting their job listings today? They didn't get caught.
They just moved. They're likely still out there, just on a different server.
Dispensing Quiet Pills. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.